and then we'll dive into the text. विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतम् पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयम् तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नम इदम् श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये दूर्वादलद्युतितनुं जननेत्रम् हेमाम्बरं वरविभूषणभूषिताङ्गम् कन्दर्पकोटिकमनीय किशोरमूर्तिम् पूर्तिं मनोरथ भुवां भज जानकीशम्. Okay, I think I'm getting a slight echo. So if someone's having their mics on, please go on mute. And we'll also record an audio in parallel as backup. Okay, so you all can see my screen and the text, right? So I would say that you all look at the screen or refer to your text, whatever is convenient for you all. And we'll start directly now without much introduction into the Rāmacaritamānasa. Yeah? Varnānām artha sanghānām rasānām chandasāmapi mangalānāಂ ca kartārau vande vāṇī vinājakau भवानी शंकरौ वंदे श्रद्धा विलासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धा स्वान्तस्थमीश्वरम् वंदे बोधमयं नित्यं गुरुं शंकररूपिणम् यमाश्रितो हि वक्रोऽपि चन्द्रः सर्वत्र वन्द्यते सीतारामगुणग्राम पुण्यारण्यविहारिणौ वन्दे विशुद्धविज्ञानौ कवीश्वरकपीश्वरौ उद्भवस्थितिसंहारकारिणीं क्लेशहारिणीं सर्वश्रेयस्करीं सीतां नतोऽहं रामवल्लभां यन्मायावशवर्ति विश्वमखिलं ब्रह्मादिदेवासुरा यत्सत्त्वादमृषैव भाति सकलं रज्जौ यथा हेर्भ्रमः यत्पादप्लवमेकमेव हि भवां बोधे स्थितिर्षावतां वन्देऽहं तमशेषकारणपरं रामाख्यमीशं हरिम् नानापुराणनिगमागमसम्मतं यद् रामायणे निगदितं क्वचिदन्यतोऽपि स्वान्तः सुखाय तुलसी रघुनाथ गाथा भाषा निबन्धमतिमञ्जुलमातनोति. So these are the opening verses of the Rāmacaritamānasa that we just recited right now. As you might have seen from the cadence and the overall words, it's in Sanskrit. And what Tulsidas ji does is that he opens every canto or every Kāṇḍa of the Ramayana with an invocation in Sanskrit, and then he dwells into the Avadhi. So today we'll now focus on what this invocation is about. So he's writing the Rāmacaritamānasa here, the lake of the deeds of Ram. Now, it's interesting that he says it's a lake and not the sea, right? So the sea is where all waters end into, but the lake is the fountainhead of those deeds. So the Rāmacaritamānasa is the fountainhead of the deeds of Ram. Since Goswami ji is a Bhakt of Ram, one would expect, as is in the Vaishnava traditions, that he opens with an invocation of Ram. Because depending on your parampara, you could be a Shaiva, Shakta, Vaishnava, Saurya, or Ganapatya. You would begin with an invocation of your Ishta. This is not what Goswami ji does. He begins with an invocation of Vani and Vinayak. So let's now start unfolding the very opening verse of the Manas. So he's saying Varnanam. Varna is the lettering of words. So let's say I'm communicating with you all right now. And can I communicate without words? At a very spiritual level, yes. But at a very practical level, no. No one can communicate without words. So he says Varnanam, Artha Sanghanam, words and meanings together. Now, you could write a scientific paper with words and meanings, right? But it should have rasa. It should have ambrosia. It should open your hearts to the divinity within you. So he says rasana. But then you can write a beautiful prose with rasa. It also has to have chanda, the cadence, the meter. So chandasam api. So he says varna, artha, rasa, and chanda, and their grouping. Mangalana. I could write beautiful poetry like Shakespeare, but it has to be auspicious. So he adds Mangal. And he's saying, I need the grace for 6 things: for lettering, for meaning, for ambrosia of rasa, for the cadence and meter, and for auspiciousness. And I am not their doer. It is Vani, which is Saraswati, and Vinayak, which is Ganesh. So the very opening verse is a Mangalacharan, as they call it, for Ganesha and for Saraswati. Now, this parampara of bowing down to Vani and Vinayak is called a Smarta parampara. So he is establishing right from the word go that he is bowing down to Vinayak and to Vani, even though he is a Ram Bhakta, bringing forth the essence of this dialectic of synthesis. That if you believe in Ram, you can still start off with Vani and Vinayak. So right from the word go, he's trying to bring forth what we will start exploring as we move ahead in the text. That it's not exclusive, it's not rigid, it's not moving into one or the other ideology. It's welcoming, it's all encompassing. So why Vani and Vinayak? Why not just Saraswati? Would that not be enough? Why not just Ganesh? Would that not be enough? See, what you articulate is on your tongue, and what you think is in your head. And the two have to go in cadence. You cannot have something that is moving on your tongue, but is not articulate in your head, or vice versa. So this coherence of what you think and what you articulate is the kripa or the grace of these two deities, Vani and Vinayak. Also, Vani is something that is spoken. Who wrote the Mahabharata in the mythological sense? It is Ganesha. So what you write is Ganesha's grace, and what you speak is Saraswati's grace. So he says, O Saraswati and O Ganesha, give me grace so that I can write poetry with words full of meaning, full of rasa, in cadence, and which is also auspicious. Then he moves on to Bhavani and Shankar. Bhavani, of course, is Parvati, and Shankar is Shiva. Bhavani Shankara Vande Shraddha Vishwasa Rupina. So Bhavani and Shankar is the image, but what do they depict? Shraddha and Vishwas, trust and faith. Yabhyam vina na pashyanti, without whom you cannot see what? Siddha Svantastham, the divinity, Svantastha, within you. Now that's the second explosion that he gives right in the second Mangalacharan, that the whole exercise is not to explore some divinity sitting somewhere in heaven outside us that we are chasing, but that divinity which lies within us. You can unfold that if you have trust and faith within you in the form of Bhavani and Shankar. So Bhavani Shankarau Vande Shraddha Vishwasa Rupinau Yabhyam Vina Na Pashyanti siddha svantastham. So you cannot see without this trust on yourself, in yourself, this form of Shiva and Parvati that resides within you. Now, if you have to see something within you, can you see with your mortal eyes? You can't. You have to turn the eye inward. And that is possible only with the grace of a guru. So he now bows down to his guru in the form of Shiva. Vande bodhamayam nityam gurum shankara rupinam yamashrito hi vakropi chandra sarvatra vandyate. So he says, I now bow down to my guru in the form of Shiva. Yamashrito hi vakropi chandra sarvatra vandyate. So you know that on the head of Shiva, you have the moon, the moon crescent, right? वो वक्र है, टेढ़ा है, फिर भी लोग उसको प्रणाम करते हैं क्योंकि शिवजी ने उसको उनको धारण किया है. यमाश्रितो, जिनके आश्रय से वक्र होने पर भी चंद्र को सर्वत्र वंद्यते, सब लोग उसकी वंदना करते हैं. It's okay if I do this in Hindi and English, right? Because then it makes it much more accessible. So what he's saying is that the moon doesn't have too many good qualities on its own, but because the moon crescent resides on the head of Shiva, people bow down to it. Now, what is he trying to say over here? Remember that the moon is the deity of the mind. What happens in our mind? Yoga chittavritti nirodha. Yoga is the cessation of your chittavrittis. Where do these chittavrittis arise? In the mind. You know, one time we are fluttering in Germany, one time we are fluttering in India, one time we are in the US, one time we are wondering what happened to my leg, what happened to this and that. It's all over the place, right? If you don't have the grace of Shiva on top, it can never be controlled. So he's saying that I, Tulsi, am like this moon, which is going hither and thither. Oh Shiva, bless me, because I know that if I stay in the comfort of my guru, people will bow down to me as well, not because of I having any superior qualities, but because I am being showered by your grace. So there is a very beautiful old Sanskrit verse for this, just to give you context of how Tulsidas picks from various sources. So the verse goes, Dohā karopi kutilopi kalankitopi mitravasana samaye vihitodayopi chandrastathapi girisha shirasa vibharti नैवाश्रितेषु गुणदोष विचारणास्ति. So what he's saying, दोषा करोपि, चंद्र में बहुत सारे दोष है. क्या क्या दोष है? First of all, it's never the full moon. It waxes and wanes, right? It has dark spots on it. It is kutil. Why is it kutil? Because it deserts his friend, the sun. Mitra also means the sun in Sanskrit. Mitra also means a friend. So he deserts his friend. How? When he's on a full moon night, he comes only when the sun has gone away. But when he is in a pratipada, he is tagging along with his friend. You know that in the phases of the moonrise happens at various times of the day. It's only on the full moon that it happens at night, right? So in its waxing or waning phases, it takes the help of his friend, the sun, and goes along with his journey. But on a full moon day, he deserts his friend and then just rises on his own. And in spite of that, Girisha holds him on his head, because someone who is full of grace does not think of good and bad qualities of the person he is embracing. This is just like a guru, and hence Tulsidas says, "O Guru, please embrace me just like Shiva embraces the moon, even though it's full of all these changing qualities." So that's the third Vandana. Now he goes on to the fourth Vandana. Sita Rama Gunagrama Punyaranya Viharinau Vande Vishuddha Vijnanau Kavishwara Kapishwarau. So who is Kavishwar? The Ishvara of all Kavis in the Ramayana context. It is of course Valmiki. And who is Kapishwar? Hanuman. So after he has prayed to Vani, Vinayak, to Shiva and Parvati, and to his guru in the form of Shiva, he now bows down to the entire tradition that is flowing in the form of Valmiki and Hanuman. Now, why is he bowing down to Hanuman? Where has Hanumanji written the Ram Katha? See, in the whole structure of the Ramayana, who tells Sita what all has happened in the forest when the signet ring is given to her? It is Hanuman. So within the Ramayana, the tale of Rama from Ram to Sita is conveyed via Hanuman. So the Ur Kathakar is Hanumanji. And then getting hold of what all has happened in the Katha is done by Valmiki. So he's saying, I now bow down to these Ur Kathakars, Kavishwar Valmiki and Kapishwar Hanumanji, who are the source of pure knowledge of the Ramayana, Vishuddha Vijnana. And where are these two people viharining? Where are they roaming? कहाँ पे विहार कर रहे हैं ये दोनों? सीता राम गुणग्राम पुण्यारण्य. These two people, Valmiki ji and Hanuman ji, are moving in the auspicious forest, Punyaranya, of the Gunagram, of the collection of qualities of Sita ji and Ramji. So I bow down to Valmiki and Hanuman, who relish moving around in the forest of the collection of gunas of Sita and Ram. So they are continuously moving in this forest. Now again, Tulsidas ji comes out with his beautiful poetic charm. वो गुणों का ग्राम है लेकिन पुण्य का अरण्य है. ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है? ग्राम भी है और अरण्य भी है. It's a village and it's also a forest. What he's trying to say is that the essence of divinity is a difficult path, just as you go into a forest and can easily lose your path. It is made accessible by Ram and Sita as the clean roads in a village. So Sita Ram Gunagrama, इनका अगर आपको साथ है तो वो जो पुण्य का अरण्य है उसमें भी आप निर्भयता से अपनी पहचान और अपनी जगह ढूंढ सकते हैं. So it is Gram and Aranya at the same time. Sita Rama Gunagrama Punyaranya Viharinau Vande Vishuddha Vijnanau Kavishwara Kapishwaro. Now after this, he bows down to Sita ji. So just see how beautifully this whole Vandana is moving. उद्भव स्थिति संहार कारिणीम क्लेशहारिणीम सर्वश्रेयस्करीम सीताम नतोहम राम वल्लभाम. So I now bow down to the Vallabha, to the beloved of Rama, who is Sarvashreyaskari, who is the bestower of everything that is good. And she is the cause, Karini, of Udbhava, Sthiti, and Samhara, creation, sustenance, and destruction. So we normally attribute these three to Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. But what Tulsidas ji is saying is that they act upon this because of Maya Shakti. And Maya Shakti is no one else than Sita. So she is the main cause of these three. And hence I bow down to Sita. So Udbhava Sthiti Samhara Karinim Klesha Harinim. She's also the remover of all your kleshas, of all your worries. And she is our great benefactor. So I bow down to Sita. So this is Sita Vandana. And now he explodes into the beauty and Vandana of Rama. Now this is in the Shardula Vikridit Chanda. It is a particular Chanda in Sanskrit. Yanmaya Vashavarti Vishvamakhilam. That's how the cadence goes. We've already recited it. So what is he saying here now? Brahmadi Devasura. Brahma Adi Dev or Sur hai, जो बाकी के देव सुर असुर है. So all gods, demons and Brahma. Yanmayavashavarti Vishvamakhilam. Because of whose Maya this entire universe exists, including all the gods and demons. Yat sattvad bhati sakalam rajjau yatha her brahma. Just like we mistake a snake for a rope, a classic analogy, just like the way we mistake a rope for a snake, rajjau yatha ahir brahma. यत सद्वाद अमृषैव भाति सकलम, जिनकी सत्ता से सब कुछ सकलम अमृषैव भाति. It looks real. Mrusha is false. Amrusha is real. Because of whose satta the whole world starts appearing to be real, just like we mistake often a rope for a snake. Yat padaplavamekame hi bhavam bodhe stitirshavatam. And because of whose feet, plava is a boat, pada is feet. So, if you want to overcome this unreal world which appears real, what is the recourse? The recourse is his feet, which act as a plover or a boat, whose feet act as a boat for those who are wanting to cross the seas of material existence. Bhavam Bodhi is the sea of material existence, and जिनको उसके पार जाने की इच्छा है, उनके लिए राम जी के पद एक नाव का काम करते हैं. वंदेहम तमशेष कारण परम रामाख्यमीशम हरि. And that Hari, who is the who is beyond all causes. So we know that the world is full of cause and effects. There is a ur cause or a meta cause of everything. He is beyond that as well. That Ram, who is also called Hari, I bow down to. So in this verse, what he's doing is he's saying what the form of Ram that he's worshipping is, which is the divinity within us. He is not saying that he is a deity somewhere existing outside you. He is saying that it is because of his Maya, जिनकी माया के वशवर्ती होने के कारण पूरा विश्व आपको सच्चा दिख रहा है, जैसे आपको एक रज्जू में सर्प का आभास होता है. That Ram is the one that I am bowing down to. Okay, so it's a very, very philosophically dense text that he just pushes onto us as an explosion of the form of Ram in the Vandana. Then he goes on and says, okay, now I will tell you where from do I get my Ram Katha. So, Nana Purana Nigama Gama Sammatam Yat. My Katha comes from Nana Purano se aati hai. It comes from multiple Puranas. Nigamas is the Vedas. So, I take recourse to many things that have been said in the Vedas, in the Puranas, and also in the Agamas. So Nigam Agam is Vedas and the teachings of the Acharyas, Tantra, etc. So you've got the whole corpus of Vedic knowledge, which is the Vedic Samhita, Brahman, Aranyak, and Upanishads. And then you've got the Agama texts, which the various Acharyas have written, in which there is also Tantra. And he says, अनेक पुराणों में से, अनेक निगमों में से, चार निगम है, the four Vedas, अनेक आगमों से मैंने ये कथा उठाई है. रामायणे निगदितम क्वचिद अन्यतोपि. मैंने अनेक रामायणों से भी ये कथा ली है, कहीं कहीं अन्य जगहों से भी ली है. लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल कालिदास, सिंस रघुवंश. I've referred to poetic texts, Puranas, Vedas, Upanishads, and the Agama texts. And from this, I have created the ambrosia of Rāmacaritamānasa. Why? Why did I do all this? What was the purpose? Svanta Sukhaya, for my own pleasure. There is no other aim for this apart from my own pleasure. And this is the direction that bhakti needs to move into, that the sadhan and the sadhana becomes one. मैं भगवान को फूल क्यों चढ़ाता हूं? परीक्षा में अच्छे मार्क मिले, संपत्ति मिले, रोग दूर हो. मैं भगवान को फूल इसलिए चढ़ाता हूं ताकि कल मैं भी उतने ही भक्ति भाव से, उतने ही चाव से फूल चढ़ा सकूं. Which means that the sadhana that you're doing and the sadhya, the aim, the means and the ends become one. And this is what he's aiming for. Why do I do all this? Do I want more wealth? Do I want more fame? No. Svantas Sukhaya, Tulasi Raghunatha Gatha. He says that having taken this story from all these sources, I pull and plug it all into my katha, Bhasha Nibandha, and I bring it into Bhasha, which is Avadhi. I don't write it in Sanskrit. I bring it into Bhasha, again for my own pleasure. And whatever places of that katha I have found to be beautiful, Atimanjulam, Atanoti, I stretch those parts. So, for example, he finds the marriage of Ram and Sita to be very beautiful. So he stretches it for pages together in the Rāmacaritamānasa, which is not necessarily the case in the Valmiki Ramayana. So the focus and the lack of it, acts of commission and omission, he admits to over here, saying, I do it, I stretch the story in those parts that I find beautiful, and I do it for my own pleasure. So this is the opening part of the Manas, which is in Sanskrit. I'll take a short break here, and if you have any questions or if you want to ask anything, please feel free on these verses. If not, we can enter into the Sortha section.
I have a quick question. So, Tulsidas was basically fluent in Sanskrit and in Avadhi.
Absolutely. I mean, he was a master of Sanskrit grammar. He could have easily composed the whole thing in Sanskrit. He chose to put it in Avadhi to make the Ramayana accessible to people who didn't have access to Sanskrit. I mean, there are many places ahead in the Manas where you clearly know that this is a reference to Sanskrit grammar. I mean, we'll explore those as we move on. And you're quite amazed that this person is writing in such accessible Avadhi when he could have been a great Pandit writing in Sanskrit. So, yeah, Deepak, you've raised your hand.
Yes. Beautifully read and explained. Thank you, as usual. So he is what I believe he was a Vaishnava. Is it right to categorize him as a Vaishnava or no? Because he's clearly invoking Shiva as well as his guru. So that's why I'm asking.
So yes, he was a Vaishnava, but in the sense that he believed in Hari Hari Ekata. So there are many verses and chopais in the Manas as we move ahead where he says there is no difference between Shiva and Vishnu. The highest bhakta of Vishnu is Shiva, and the highest bhakta of Shiva is Vishnu. There's a chopai, in fact, dedicated to this thought. So he was that eclectic Vaishnava, not an exclusivist Vaishnava.
Okay, thank you. And another frivolous note, how many drafts do you think he made of this? Because he's trying to, in just 2 lines, there is so much meaning. And so I'm just wondering how much effort he needed to put in to refine his work to this extent. But it was a rhetorical question, so we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
If I can,
I mean, he's a master craftsman with all that he does. Yeah.
If I can just come in here about the question about Shiva, actually in Varanasi, I have seen that when they do the Ganga Aarti, the Bel Patra which is chadao to Ganga Ma, every leaf of each Bel Patra offering, which has to have 3 leaves, in Chandan they write Ram.
Ram, yeah.
So that is, the Shiva accepts a prasad more from you, you're offering more because of Ram. So there is this symbiotic relationship between Ram and Vishnu. I mean, in a kind of a more colloquial sense, I suppose, because humans relate to it, and it's easy to access both such amazing, divinities, but eventually being one because they're so attached to each other. Actually, even Srimad Bhagavatam and all of, there's a lot of connection.
There is absolutely, and this is also a very, very organically Indian way to access divinity, but because we have the Pancha Devas, so you've got a creation which is worshipped in the form of Brahma or the sun. You've got sustenance as Vishnu. You've got destruction as Shiva. You've got grace as Ganesha, and you've got Shakti as Devi. And all these 5 go back to that ultimate divinity that lies within us. So it's important also, as we explore these texts, to understand where all this is coming from. We are not, in that sense, a monotheistic religion in which we believe in one God. We are a monist tradition in which the God and us is one. And that's a very important difference to understand. There is a unison between divinity and us, that every one of us is and can be divine. We just need to explore that. So there is no external divinity that we are chasing, but the divinity is within us. And if divinity is within us and is everywhere, then you can worship, a monkey god, an elephant-headed god, a snake god, whatever. So it's not an animal worshipping tradition in that sense. It's a monistic tradition. And if you are a monist who believes that divinity is everywhere and within you, then everything becomes holy. And that's the philosophical basis of all the various material cultures of worship that we see in India. Okay. So I think, Sajali, your hand is raised as well.
I had more of an observation, which is the last, do you call them shlokas? What do you call them?
These are shlokas. Yeah.
Okay. So the last one where you tell us about the Swanta Sukhaya.
Swanta Sukhaya, yeah, for his own pleasure.
Yeah. Own pleasure, and then of course you said that is bhakti, and I actually had a visceral response to that, which was just a whole, because everything for me is so purposeful, I'm getting somewhere, and this was just so disarming, and truly I feel what an essence of bhakti to start this off with. So it's most appreciative of it. That's really what it is.
Yeah, and the other thing is, to add to that note, see the Rāmacaritamānasa, if I may, the Vedas teach you as a teacher, like the Upanishads say, this is how it is. The Gita, the Bhagavad Gita, teaches you as a friend. The Bhagavad Puran comes to you as a lover. But then whether you transform yourself or not is entirely up to you. The Manas comes to you as a mother. It cares for you, it nurtures you. And by the time we are over with it, it would have transformed each and every one of us in our own ways. There is no standard way of doing it. So there is a difference of tone when someone approaches us as a mother, ensuring that she has our best interest in mind. So it's not a friend, a teacher, or a lover, but a mother. And the other text that comes to my mind that does this is the Jnaneshwari, which is a commentary on the Gita, which also approaches us as a mother. In fact, Jnaneshwari is called a Mauli, a mother. All right. So now this is one logical block, which is the opening invocation. Now we'll delve down into the beauties of the Awadhi language, which we begin with the Sorathas. I'll not again get too much into what a Soratha is, what a Doha is now. Let's experience the cadence, and then we'll talk about it more. Otherwise, again, we are left with theory and no context. So let's just recite it, and then we'll come back to what it means, what's a Doha, what's a Soratha, etc. Okay? So now he moves on into the Awadhi section, and again, in the Awadhi, he begins with the next set of Vandana. Jo sumirat siddhi hoi, Gananayaka karibara badana, Karau anugraha soi, Buddhirasi subha guna sadana, Mukha hoi bachal, Pangu chadhai giribara gahana, Jasu krupa sodayala, Dravau sakala kalimala dahana, Nila saroruha syama, Taruna aruna barijanayana, Karau somama uradhama, Sada chira sagara sayana, Kunda indu samadeha, Umaramana karunaya, Jahidina paraneha, Karau krupa mardanamayana, Bandau guru pada kanja, Kripa sindhu nararupa hari, Mahamoha tamapunja, Jasu bachana rabi karanikara. So that's the 5 Soratha set that he begins the invocation with. We'll take every Soratha one by one. So this recital that we did is the way a Soratha is recited. Maybe now we can explore now that you've heard the cadence. The Rāmacaritamānasa is composed with Dohas, with Chaupais, and with Sorathas, and with Chands. So there are 4 parts to it: Doha and Soratha, Chaupai, and Chand. What is most prominent across the Manas is the Chaupai. We've not read a single Chaupai as yet. We will come to that after this. Then there are the Dohas, then there are the Sorathas, and then there are the Chands. So it is said that every text is a Vangmayin Murti. A text is a living entity. It's not just the printed word on dead wood. It's a living entity. In fact, the Bhagavad Puran has an entire section in which describes which part of the text is which part of the body of divinity. So a text is a living entity. It is a Vangmayin Murti. But here Tulsidas ji goes beyond that. He says ये रामायण है, राम जी का घर है. Ayana is a house. Ramayana is the house of Ram, the house through which Ram moved to perform his deeds. तो अगर घर है तो सोने के लिए तो कुछ चाहिए, तो वो क्या है? चौपाई. So the chaupai is that cot, खाट on which Ram ji sleeps. उनको भूख भी लगेगी, तो कुछ तो दोहने के लिए चाहिए, तो वो दोहा है, जिसका दोहन करके वो अपनी भूख मिटा सके. लेकिन बस खाना पीना सोना यही जिंदगी है? उनके लिए कुछ संगीत होना चाहिए, सुर होना चाहिए, which is the सोरठा. And why does Tulsidas ji begin the Ramayana with a सोरठा and not with a दोहा? क्योंकि सोरठा में र है, राम जी है, दोहा में नहीं है. So he begins with a सोरठा जिसमें रकार है, which is राम. तो जो आस्वाद है, जो auspiciousness है, that comes from सोरठा. So there is the house, which is Ramayana. There's the chaupai on which he sleeps. There's the doha on which he feeds. There's the sortha on which he enjoys. And there's a chand जिनसे वो आच्छादन करते हैं, कुछ चदर ओढ़ते हैं अपने ऊपर. So this is how Tulsidas ji, I mean, वो भाव है. He does not say it explicitly, but in the commentarial traditions, the bhav is that these various poetic forms offer this kind of recourse to Ramji in the house of Ram, which is the Ramayana. Now, Tulsidas ji now himself says that my Manas lake has beautiful lotuses that have bloomed in it in the form of dohas and sorthas. And the chaupais are the leaves. So in this lake, the chaupais are the leaves and the lotuses are the dohas and the sorthas, is what Tulsidas ji himself says. We'll come to that later. Now, if you look at a lotus lake somewhere, you will observe that you see leaves and a lotus popping out. But that lotus might not necessarily be stemming out from those two leaves. It could have come from somewhere else and it pops out somewhere else, right? So over here, these sorthas these are the lotuses. But what is their chaupai? It is somewhere else. Now we'll come to this trick once we have unfolded all the sorthas. But just let's park this idea that the sortha blossoms have their chaupais somewhere else. Now, this is also a very, very interesting verse. Here he again now in the Avadhi, in the Sortha meter, bows down to Ganesha. Jo sumirata siddhi hoi gananayaka karibara badana. Kari is an elephant. Karibara badana, he has the face of the best of elephants. Who is he? Gananayak. So Shivji has this entire collection of ganas, and there are many chieftains of these ganas who are all called Ganeshas. There is one particular Ganesha who has the face of an elephant, Karibara Badana. So I bow down now to him. So again, he is bowing down to Ganesha in the Avadhi meter. So he did that in Sanskrit. Now he's doing that again in Avadhi. जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई, जिनका स्मरण करने से सब सिद्धियां प्राप्त होती है, ऐसे गजमुखी गणेश जी को मैं वंदन करता हूं. करहु अनुग्रह सोई, वो हम पर अनुग्रह करे. Let him bestow his grace upon us. Who is a collection, a storehouse, rasi of buddhi, intelligence, and of all good qualities. He's a home of all good qualities. Now, there's always a catch. What's the catch? जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई, जिनका स्मरण करने से सब सिद्धियां होती है. ये हम स्मरण कर रहे हैं गणेश जी का. It could also be interpreted as जिनका स्मरण करने से गणेश जी को सिद्धियां प्राप्त होती हैं. ऐसे गणेश जी हम पर अनुग्रह करें. तो गणेश जी किनका स्मरण कर रहे हैं? राम जी का. सो जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई गणनायक करिबर बदन करौ अनुग्रह सोई बुद्धि राशि शुभ गुण सदन. So the first level of interpretation is that let us remember that Ganesha, remembering whom all siddhis are bestowed upon us. The second is, let us remember that Ganesha who becomes siddh by remembering Ram, let him bestow all graces upon us. The third interpretation is that Ganesha who gets all his siddhis by bowing down to Ram, karau anugraha so, let that Ram bestow grace upon us. Right? So now you can see the adaptability of Avadhi as vis-a-vis Sanskrit. In Sanskrit, there is also immense scope for multiple interpretations, but Avadhi just lends it to self very naturally. Did you all get these three layers of interpretation? So what is Jo Sumirata Siddhi Hoi, remembering whom we get all graces, or Ganesha remembering whom gets all graces, and that is Ram. So he's indirectly saying that Ganesha is also bowing down to Ram, which answers the question, why did he begin going back the Vandana with Ram being his deity? Why did he begin with Vani and Vinayak? He explains that here, because Ganesh ji himself, for his siddhis, bows down to Shri Ram, Jo Sumirata Siddhi Hoi. So that's the catch. Now the second one, Mukha Hoi. Now remember, he is not mentioning any deity in the second verse. Why? We'll explain that once we've run through all the 5 chopais or the sortas. Mukha Hoi Bachal. Someone who is dumb, he becomes garrulous. Bachal is Vachal. Vachal means garrulous. Someone who is dumb becomes garrulous. Pangu chadhai giri baragahana. Someone who is lame is able to climb a mountain. Jasu krupaso dayal dravau sakala kalimala dahana. By whose grace this happens, which is whom? It could be Shri Ram, it could be the sun, it could be anyone. We don't know. By whose grace this happens, let him shower his grace upon us. Dravau sakala kalimala dahana. And let him burn, dahan, all the mala, all the dirt of Kalikal. What is the mala of Kalikal? Our desires, lusts, wants, krodha, moha, maya, mada, matsara, dvesh, ahankar. All this is Kalimal. And let him destroy that. Who? The one who makes a dumb person garrulous and a lame person enabled to climb a mountain. This refers to a Sanskrit verse. Mukam karoti vachalam pangulanghayate girim yat kripatamaham vande paramananda madhavam. It's a direct translation of that. The only difference being that Paramananda Madhavam is not mentioned directly over here. So that's the other thing of the Manas. It's an anthology of multiple texts where we do not have access to it. You get that directly through the Avadhi. Someone is dropping off and joining in. Let me just admit one guest. How do I do that from here?
I think I'm in. Thank you.
Oh, no, there's someone else who's I see. Okay, yeah. Okay. Mukha hoi bachala pangu chadhai giri baragana. Now, did someone think that, okay, I mean, being dumb is bad enough, but being garrulous is worse? Why do you want to make a dumb person garrulous? Vachal means garrulous, who talks more than he's supposed to. But Vachal is Vacha Alam. जो मूक है उनको जिनका अनुग्रह वाचा का अलम बनाता है, where vacha becomes an ornament in his mouth. So vachal has two meanings, garrulous and vacha ka alam, an ornament of vacha or the home of vacha. So someone who is dumb, in his mouth Saraswati starts residing, or whose mouth is ornamented by Saraswati. That is the meaning of vacha alam. Whereas the other meaning of vacha is garrulous. So it can mean both, but here it means someone who is dumb becomes very articulate, not garrulous. Now he does not, as I said, tell us who this is, by whose grace let all the Kalimalas be washed. Who is it? We don't know. It is divinity, some divinity. But Dahana is burning, so it could be Surya, because it's burning all the Kalimala. Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. We'll unfold that a bit later. Let's move on to the next sorta. Neela saroruha syama taruna aruna barijanayana karauso mama uradhama sadachira sagar sayana. So jo sada kshira sagar mein shayan karte hai, that one which is eternally sleeping in the ocean of kshira. Kshira is milk. Nira kshira viveketu hanso hanso bako bakaha. Kshira is milk. So the one who resides in the ocean of milk, which is Vishnu. Karauso mama uradhama. Let him reside in my heart. So you are invoking the deity outside to enable the deity within you to awaken, right? Which again harps back to what we were discussing earlier. It's a monastic tradition. You are not believing only in an external deity. The deity is also within you, and you are worshipping the form outside, which is sleeping in this eternal ocean of milk, so that he can come and sit on the lotus of our hearts within. Karauso mama uradhama. Let him make my heart his residence. How is he? Neela saroruha syam. He is like a blue lotus. Syam is Shyam. He's dark. He's having the dark hues of a Neela saroruha. Someone born सर में जिनका जन्म हुआ है, सरोरुहा, नील kamal. So a blue lotus who is born, who is dark skinned like a blue lotus. Taruna aruna barija nayana, whose nayana eyes are young and red like a red lotus. So his body is like a blue lotus and his eyes are like a red lotus. So he is in this yoga nidra. Now someone might ask, Tulsidas ji, aapki kamana to badhiya hai, lekin this fellow is, sleeping in this eternal ocean of milk. Why would he just come and reside in your heart because you say so? So Tulsidas ji says, वैसे भी वो योग निद्रा में है. How does it matter to him where is he residing? If he is a real yogi, it should not matter whether he's residing in an ocean of milk or in my heart. Which is why he says his eyes are reddened. Half open, half tarun kamal kaise hota hai? Pura khila hua nahi hai, pura ardhonmilit. He's half opened, half closed. So the eyes of this Vishnu are half open, half closed. They are looking within, pleasantly shining outside. They are reddened. And if he's in that yoga nidra, he might as well come and reside in my heart, because if he's in that state, where he's residing doesn't matter. So he also justifies that call, saying, of course you can do it. And if you can't, you're not in that yoga nidra, I don't need you then. But you are, so please come and reside within me, right? So this is what he does in the next Vandana. Now he goes on to say, Kunda Indu Samadeha Umaramana Karuna Ayana. Ayana, Ramayana. Ayana is a home. So jo Karuna ka ghar hai, the house of compassion. Kunda is a flower, it's a white flower. Kunda Indu Samadeha. Why does he use Indu is the moon? So someone who is soft and fair like the Kunda flower and the moon. Why is he referring to it twice? Because it is Ardhanarishwar, half Rama and half Shiva, half Uma and half Shiva. So here he is invoking both Devi, which is Parvati, and Shiva, saying, O Shiva and Parvati, you are fair, O Parvati, like the Kunda flower, and O Shiva, your fairness is like the moon. Uma Ramana, you move around in pleasure in the heart of Uma, and you are the house of compassion. Jahi Dina Par Neha. Neha is Sneha. So now as we move along, I'll also try and get you all to hold how Hindi or Sanskrit words migrate into Awadhi. Sneha, the sa gets dropped and it becomes Neha. So Neha is Sneha. Jahi Dina Par Neha. And what is their nature? Because they are a house of compassion, their nature is like those who shower love on the downtrodden. Jahi Dina Paraneha, Karau Krupa, let him shower me with grace, who is Mayana Mardan, who killed Kāmadev. Mayan is Kāmadev, Mardan is to kill. So bhav yahan pe aisa hai ki mard kaun hai? Someone who's fallen to the trappings of lust? No. Someone who has killed Kama is a real mard. Of course, mard doesn't come from the Sanskrit, it's just a bhav. Mardan is to kill. So now, to put all these loose ends together, that killer of Kama, let him shower grace, because he is known to shower grace on the downtrodden. because he is a house of compassion. He resides in the heart of Uma, who is fair like the Kunda flower, and he is fair like the moon. So this is a Vandana to Shiva and Parvati. Okay. Now we have done 4 sorthas over here. So here he bows down to, in the first sortha, he bows down to Ganesha. In the second sortha, Muka hoi bachala, Pangu chadhai giri baragah. Now we don't know who he's bowing down to. Dahana could be Surya. So he's bowing down probably to Surya Deva. Here he's bowing down to Vishnu, and here he's bowing down to Devi and Shiva. Now, did you see that the Panchadevas that we talked of earlier, Surya, Ganesha, Devi, Shiva, and Vishnu, are all covered in these 4 sorthas? So he is bowing down to the 5 devas, which is a very smarta way of worship. Bowing down to creation, sustenance, destruction, grace, and Shakti and power. These 5 deities represent these 5 energies, which all spring back from Brahman, which is within us. And he worships these 5 in these 4 sorthas, right? Now, these sorthas are lotuses. How do we know that this is true? What is the chaupai that bases itself where I can say, ha, aise ho sakta hai? This chaupai is from the Ayodhya Kāṇḍa. Karimajjana pujahi naranari, Ganapa gauri tripurari tamari, Rāmacaritamānasa pada bandi bahori, Vinavahi anjuli anchala chori. So how do the Ayodhya Vasis worship? Apni anjali ko jodte hain, they close their hands. Rama Ramana, they worship Rama and Raman, which is Vishnu. They worship Ganapa Gauri, Ganesha, Parvati, and Shiva. So in a chaupai in Ayodhya Kāṇḍa, he says that the Ayodhya Vasis worship the 5 devatas. From these leaves of the chaupai suddenly blossom in the Bāla Kāṇḍa 5 devas that are worshipped in 4 sorthas. So now go back to the analogy that we were talking of earlier, that the leaves of a lotus might not always be the same leaves from which a lotus blossoms. So to make sense of a doha, you might have to refer to a chaupai somewhere else. That's how he has designed this networking of dohas and chaupais. So in this 4 sorthas, he's done this Panchadev Vandana. And now in the final sortha, he does a Vandana of his Guru. Let's read that as well. Bandau Guru Pada Kanja Kripa Sindhu Nararupa Hari Mahamoha Tamapunja Jasu Bachana Rabi Karanikara. Bandau Guru Pada Kanja. He is not worshipping the feet of the Guru, but the lotus feet of the Guru. Kanja is a lotus. It's not Kunja. Remember, many people misread this as Kunja. It is Kanja. Kunja is a dense bar of flowers, a bower of flowers. A Kanja is a lotus. So, Bandau Guru Pada Kanja, let me bow down to the lotus feet of my Guru, who's a Krupa Sindhu, who's an ocean of compassion. Nara Rupa Hari, who is divinity in the form of man. Now, this again is important to understand that this is possible in a monastic tradition, that a human being can be equated with divinity. That's one meaning. The other meaning is Hari has taken the form of man in the form of Ram or whoever, or his Guru, and I'm bowing down to him. So now I bow down to the lotus feet of my Guru, who is a sea of compassion and Sakshat Hari in the form of a human being. Mahamoha Tamapunja. Mahamoha, all these Shadripus that we are caught in, Krodha, Moha, Mada, Matsar, Dvesh, Ahankar, that goes on. This is the collection of darkness. Mahamoha Tamapunja, Jasu Bachana, Rabikara Nikara. So when the Guru speaks, the speech of the Guru is like rays of the sun hitting me that destroy the darkness of the Moha collection. So Guru की वाणी जैसे कि सूर्य किरणें हैं जो इस महामोह के तमपुंज को, तम की रात्रि को उजियारे से भर देते हैं. So it destroys this collection of moha that I am caught in. and that Guru I bow down to. So here the next invocation of the Sortha set is over, and we again take a short break for questions or remarks and then move on to the Chaupai set. Yeah, Namita.
Two things. One is, what exactly is Sortha in terms of like a literary device? As in, I know Doha means 2 lines. So
Sortha is also 2 lines.
Acha.
Sortha is a mirror image of a Doha. So for example, Kunda Indu Samadeha Umaramana Karunayana. If you reverse it, Umaramana Karunayana Kunda Indu Samadeha. That's a Doha. So Doha and Sortha are mirror images of each other. In the Doha, the Yati or the rhyme is in the middle. So for example, over here, you can see it more clearly. Bandam Gurupada Kanja. The break is at Kanja. The Yati is at Kanja. And Mahamohatama Punja. The break is at Punja. So the rhyme is Kanja and Punja. It's an internal rhyme. But Hari and Nikar don't match. But in a Doha, the rhyme is at the end. So Doha and Sortha are mirror images of each other. You can read every Doha as a Sortha, and you can read every Sortha as a Doha. So for example, Bandam Gurupada Kanja, I can read as a Doha. Krupa Sindhu Nararupa Hari Bandam Gurupada Kanja Jasu Bachana Rabi Karanikara Mahamohatama Punja. They are mirror images of each other.
Right.
It's just a meter, nothing else. Sortha and Doha are meters, just like Chaupai is a meter.
So the Doha is a more like organized meter because the rhythm is in the end, as in the rhyme is.
Rhyme is in the end, yeah. So in a Sortha, the rhyme is in the middle.
Okay. And the second thing I wanted to share is that I've just recognized that this line of by whose grace the dumb becomes garrulous and the lame can climb the mountain is also in the Bhagavad Gita Dhyan mantra, which is a yeah, and not only that, it's in a Hindi film song called Darshan Do Bhagwan. Whatever, it's like a very so it's like echoed into so many different spaces.
Absolutely. So on this note, why I like doing this with fellow Indians is that we are an embodied culture. There are so many things that you think you don't know, but you know. Whereas if I'm trying to navigate the space of this text with non-Indians, and by non-Indians, I don't mean someone who is not connected with India. They are very much connected with India, but the cultural canvas is not there. So many a times Indians think that they are disconnected from the tradition, but they are not. It's there as a canvas. So it's very easy to get these things. And it's an embodied tradition. Just like you from this, you recall the bhajan, you recalled the dhyan shloka in the Bhagavad Gita. And that's exactly what Tulsidas ji tries to do. He brings forth Nana Purana Nigama Gama Sammatam Yad. From various sources, he brings that, and suddenly you see that in Avadi and wonder, wow, how did he manage to do that? Yeah, Preeti, your hand is raised.
Yeah, I wanted to know who is Tulsidas ji's guru?
That's a bit of hoary history. He studied with a guru in Sanskrit in his hometown. Many people say that he came from the Ramanandi sect, but it's in the hoary past. We can't really say with historical certainty one way or the other.
So I had heard of how Hanumanji himself used to come and listen to his katha. And in some ways, could he be referring to him? Because he's the one who actually gave him the darshan.
Right. Hanumanji's grace was bestowed on Tulsidas in no uncertain manner. In fact, the Sankatmochan temple in Varanasi is where he found the Murti of Hanuman. And all these things appear very esoteric. But if you realize that all this external sadhana that we do is to invoke divinity within, then it all starts falling into place. That he saw certain things with that inward eye that made him have access to things that we caught up in the material world don't have easy access to. That's one way of looking at it.
Could be.
But he absolutely was bestowed by the grace of Hanuman. He himself has said that so many times in the Vinay Patrika also. Okay, so now we complete the Sortha set and now move on to the leafy waves of the Chaupai. I think we have some time, so we can move on to the next set. Now we begin with the Chaupai meter, which is a very, again, different cadence. Bandau Guru Pada Paduma Paraga Suruchi Subasa Sarasa Anuraga Amiya Muri Maya Churana Charu Samaya Sakala Bhavaruja Parivaru Sukruti Sambhutana Bimala Vibhuti Manjula Mangala Moda Prasuti Janamana Manju Mukura Malaharani Kiye Tilaka Guna Gana Basakarani Shri Guru Padanakha Manigana Jyoti Sumirata Dibya Drishti Hiya Hoti Dalana Mohatama So Saprakasu Bade Bhagaur Avai Jasu Ugharahi Bimala Bilochana Hi Ke Mitahi Dokha Dukha Bhavarajani Ke Sujhahi Rāmacaritamānasa Manika गुपुत प्रगट जहाँ जो जहि खानिक जथा सुवंजन जिद्रुग साधक सिद्ध सुजान कौतुक देखत सैल बन भूतल भूरि निधान. I think a comment on the structure of the Manas is in place over here now. What we would be doing as we move ahead is that we will be reading in one go a Chaupai Doha set. So he normally has around 4 Chaupais together and then one Doha, because remember the Doha is a lotus. So you can have few lotuses after many leaves. So the Chaupai Doha set is what we read in one go and then we unfold it. So we read the Chaupais before. Sorry. And the Doha is what I read in the end, which is a mirror image of the Sorthas that we saw so far. And the numbering is 1. So, for example, if we want to refer to something, this is 0 dot, because there is no Chaupai before this, right? So then the way I do the numbering is, for example, this Guru Pada Rajamruda Manjula Anjana is Doha 1.1. This is 0.4, like that. So we will get a hang of it as we move ahead. Now, Bandam Guru Pada Kanja Krupa Sindhu Nara Rupahari is what we read. We had said that the first 4 Sorthas, the lotus, is referred to some other Chaupai in the Ayodhya Kand. But the 5th Sortha, Bandam Guru Pada Kanj, is referring to the same Chaupai. So it's a lotus that has blossomed from the leaves right below, because this Bandau is there. So the 5th Sortha is referring to the Chaupais directly below it. Bandau Guru Pada Paduma Paraga. Acha. So yahan pe he is bowing down to the feet of the Guru. ठीक है. But he's not just bowing down to the feet of the Guru, but Paduma. Paduma is Padma, lotus. He's bowing down to the lotus feet of the Guru. But he's so enthralled by the Guru, he says, no, I'm not even capable of that. I'm bowing down to the dust of the lotus feet of the Guru. Paraga is the pollen grains. The pollen grains. So I'm bowing down to the pollen grains that have fallen off from the lotus feet of my Guru, because I, who is caught in the trappings of the material world, does not deem himself fit enough to even touch the feet of the Guru, doesn't deem himself fit enough to touch the lotus feet of the Guru. I will just take the Charan Raj. Raj in Hindi means pollen as also dust. So he is taking the dust of the lotus feet of his Guru. Wo kaise hai? How is the dust? Suruchi. It is tasty. Subasa. It is sugandhit. Sarasa. It is full of joy. And it is full of anurag, love. So the Guru is showering him with anurag, love, giving him rasa, bhava, scent, and taste. That is the beauty of the dust of the lotus feet of the Guru. Amiya muri maya churana charu. And he says, ye dhuli kaisi hai? Muri, jadi booty. Ye dhuri, jadi booty ka churan jaisi hai. So if we are sick, we take some jadi booty ka churan, ki ye churan le lo, aap theek ho jaoge. तो ये गुरु जी के जो पद कमल की रज है, वो किसी जड़ी बूटी के चूरन जैसी है. वो किसकी जड़ी बूटी है? अमीय, अमृत, ambrosia. So the dust of the lotus feet of the Guru is like the churan or the powder of the roots of ambrosia. It's not even ambrosia. It's the root of the spring well, the fountainhead of ambrosia. समन सकल भव रुज परिवारो. तो मेडिसिन है तो कुछ तो ठीक करना पड़ेगा ये मेडिसिन को. ये चूरन है तो what does it fix? सकल भव रुज. रुज is disease. ये जो मटेरियल वर्ल्ड में हमारी सब व्याधि है मोह माया की, वो सब मोह माया व्याधि के परिवार को ये ठीक करती है. So this powder of the ambrosial root from the dust of the Guru's feet is a fix for all the challenges of my material existence. It quietens that if I have a little bit of that Surah. Sukruti sambhutana bimala vibhuti. Now he says कि ये मिलने के लिए मेरा कुछ तो पुण्य होना चाहिए था पहले जन्म में, कि मैं इस जन्म में जो इतना पापी हूं तभी मुझे ये रज मिला है. सो वो सुकृत जो मेरा है वो जनु शिवजी है. Now this is a very, very dense metaphor. So he says that the punya that I have collected is like Shiva's body. And this raj from my Guru's feet is like the bhasma that Shivji puts on his body. So I am putting this dust from my Guru's feet on the punya Shiva body that I have got. Manjula Mangala Moda Prasuti. Prasuti kaun karta hai? Who gives birth? Ma. So the Guru is like a mother. The dust of the Guru gives birth to Manjul, happiness, Mangal, auspiciousness, and Mod, happiness. So the Guru acts like a mother of the mental world, giving birth to happiness, contentment, yeah, peace, everything. And how do I achieve that? By applying that dust on my body, which is in the form of Shiva, which itself is a bodily form of the punya I have collected. Catch. If I am itna punyavan, why? ये भस्म लगाने की जरूरत क्या है? मुझे वैसे भी ग्रेस मिल जाती है. Because punya leads to अहंकार. मैंने ये किया है, मैंने वो किया है, मैं ऐसा धार्मिक हूं, मैं ऐसा कार्मिक हूं, मैं ऐसा पुण्यवान हूं. वो अहंकार को नष्ट करने के लिए, to kill that अहंकार, you need to have the grace of the Guru. Which is why he says कि ये शिवजी के पुण्यवान शरीर पे वो गुरु के चरणों की रज मैंने लगाई है, जिनके कारण he becomes like a mother giving birth to Manjula, Mangala, Moda, Prasuti. He births these three for me. So he acts like a mother to me. Janamana Manju Mukuramal Harani. And he says that this destroys the mala from the minds of people. Kiye tilaka gunagana basakarani. All I need to do is just take the dust and apply a tilak on my forehead, and it does its magic. It kills my ahankar, it gives birth to joy and happiness. I just have to give myself up to the Guru. So there is a beautiful tale that is told. जैसे आप कहते हैं आप भगवान पे विश्वास कीजिए, भगवान तो हमारे अंदर रहते हैं. मैंने किया लेकिन कुछ होता नहीं है. So finally that divinity within him opens his eyes up and says, तो फिर चिंता क्यों करते हो? If you really have faith in me, just do your thing and things will take care of themselves. Because you are worried, you have not given up things to me entirely, which is why the grace is not shoring. So that refers back to Shraddha Vishwasa Rupino. Even to awaken the divinity within you, you need to have trust in that. And then you have Yoga Kshemam Mahamyam from the Gita. Then divinity will take care of everything. So the Guru acts like a mother who is this jadi booty of ambrosia, which if you apply on your bodily form of Shiva in the form of your punya, it kills the ahankar that you have, that I've done this and I've been there and done that, and gives birth to happiness, just like a mother births a child. Shri Gura Padanakha Manigana Jyoti. Now he says that I am not capable to look at the face of my Guru, but I can definitely look at his feet. And from the nakha, from the nails of the feet, pada of Guru. So from the nails of the feet of the Guru, a certain radiance is coming out, like the shimmering of mani moti, like the shimmering of jewels and mani manikya. Sumirata divya drushti hiya hoti. And the moment I think about this radiance that is glowing from the nail of my guru, I am bestowed with divine insight. Divya drushti hiya hoti. Mere hriday mein divya drushti utpanna hoti hai. So what he is basically saying is that this jyoti, this prakash, which is like emeralds and rubies shining, is not the material emeralds and rubies. To be able to see that irony, I need to close my eyes, take the eye inward, and then that shine flowers. It doesn't have any material existence. There's no ruby, gem, emerald existing. There's no oil, there's no diya bati. But I see that shine in the mind of the eye, in the mind, when I turn my eye inward. And with that, mujhe divya drishti prapt hoti hai. I get a certain insight, not an outwardly sight, but an insight. So this word in English, insight, is in a literal sense, it's very apt. He gets this divya drishti, an insight within his heart because of the grace of the Guru. Dalana mohatama sosa prakasu. That light is capable of killing the darkness of moha. All the wants and worries that we are caught up with. I mean, we are there now and gone tomorrow. What is this? But to be able to understand that, the grace of the Guru has to shine on that eye turned inward, which happens if you bow down to the Guru as he does here. Dalana mohatama sosa prakasu bade bhaga ura avai jasu. And someone who is capable of doing that, he is definitely blessed. Ughara hi bimala bilochana hi ke. He is hriday. It opens the clear eyes of the heart. So my heart has a certain set of eyes, that inward eye, which is caught in this daldal of moha and mada. But if I turn it inside and I'm showered by the grace, and if I remove my ahankar, then those inward eyes open up. Ughara hi bimala bilochana hi ke. Now, what's the catch? Bimal, mal rahit hona is bimal. What is bilochan? Lochan rahit hona? He's saying that the eyes open up. Haji, lochan rahit hona, kaun se lochan? Ye jo indriya lochan hai wo. If you close your material eyes, turn the eye inward, are showered by the grace of the Guru, remove your ahankar, then the shine from the emeralds of the nails of the Guru will open your inward eyes. Ughara hi bimala bilochana hi ke, mita hi dosha dukha bhava rajani ke. Rajani is the night. The light emanating from that will destroy all the sorrows of material existence. Mita hi dosha dukha bhava rajani ke. Sujha hi Rāmacaritamānasa guputa prakata jaha jo jahi khanika. And you will start seeing Rāmcharit within your heart. You will start seeing the mani manikya, the emeralds, diamonds, jewels, motis of Rāmcharit that are there in your heart. You are just not seeing them. You need to open your eyes to it. And whatever those are, guput prakat, जो secretive भी है और खुले भी है, वो दोनों आपको दिखने लगेंगे, because your heart is a storehouse, it's a mine, it's a quarry. खान है वो इन सब चीजों की, आपको बस देखने की कमी है. And with the grace of the Guru, you can see all these emeralds, jewels, motis, manikyas residing in the heart, both secretive and available for easy access, which is nothing but the Rāmcharit. And then he ends with a Dohā. Jatha suanjana angidruka sadhaka siddha sujana kautuka dekhata sailabana bhutala bhuri nidhana. So all these tantrics and mantrics, they say that if you want to see through X-ray, I see a mountain, but I want to see what's hidden inside, they'll give you a special ointment saying, iska anjan laga lo, aapko divya drishti prapt hogi. Divya drishti aa jayegi. So jatha suanjana anjidruka, just like some siddha or a tantric would give you a special ointment saying put it in your eyes and you'll have an otherworldly view. And once you put that and open the eyes to the outwardly world, you will see all the emeralds and jewels in a mountain outside the material world. Kautuka dekhata saila bana. He will then start looking at mountains and forests in awe, because he sees what you can't see, which is because of this tantric anjan that he has put. He sees all those emeralds and jewels. But that is for the outside world. I am asking you to turn the eye inward and check those emeralds and jewels residing within us. And that is possible only by the grace of the Guru. So I think this is a good time to stop for the day. So what I'll do is I'll stop the presentation. We'll go on with the recording. And for the 10 minutes that we have, we'll open it up for questions or discussions. Just a quick feedback. Is the speed okay? Am I making it too contrite, complex? Or
It's wonderful, Santosh.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
It's actually beautiful and fascinating. It transports me to a world that I know very little of. But as you said, Santosh, I think I know very little of, but there is so much around us that suddenly is also coming to life, that we've all grown up culturally. It's quite amazing. It's
so
beautiful.
that we refer to that right now. It starts showing up secretive and accessible money motis. That's exactly what he's saying.
There you
And
are.
they are there for us to see. We don't see them.
That's a feeling I'm getting also, very interesting.
Deepak, you've raised your hand.
Just a quick thought or remark to say that in Hindustani music, there is actually a rag named Sorat. So that actually reminded me when you explained Sorta. And of course, it is not a surprise any longer that it has that name, but the way you explained the meaning.
Sur. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think of the Sorta rag. Yeah, lovely. Radhika?
I just was thinking, in the first line, when he first refers to the Guru, and he says when he says that you touching your feet, then the light comes, your light fills me. In a sense, all the rest of the lines about the powder and all, it feels like a kind of almost like in dance you have a sanchari, which is a kind of a expansion of that idea of going deeper. That's what it felt like to me. Is that correct?
Absolutely, it is a Sanchari Bhava. You're absolutely right. He locks onto that and then creates all the emotional moods and churns to take you deeper into the emotional well. But see his exercise, it's all been done such that you move away from the material world, but the images, the analogies, the metaphors he gives are all from the material world. And in the end, he says that, you get all these ointments and potions to look at the outside wealth. This is exactly what happens. But for that, you have to be bilochan. Without eyes is one interpretation. Without material eyes, by turning the eye inward.
What is bilochan?
Bilochan is eyes. Bilochan also means without eyes. Bilochan.
Oh.
Vimal. Vimal. Without mal.
So it's a kind of a double meaning.
It is a double meaning, which is why he does that word play. So I'll put up that verse again because it's important, because initially we'll have to invest a lot of time in understanding how he operates in the Avadhi. But once you get a hang of it, it's very easy to follow what's going on. So over here, he says, Ugharahi bimala bilochana hi ke. He is Hriday. Bimal is without mal. But vilochan is just lochan, eyes. So flammable, inflammable, uninflammable, the same thing. So flammable and uninflammable is the same. Bilochan and lochan is the same. But bilochan also means without eyes. So it's a wordplay. So he says that you have to be without material eyes, so that if you turn your eye inward, the eyes that reside within you, which are dirt-free, will open up, because all the dirt is coming through your material eyes. If you close them, the clear, clean eyes that are within will open up. All right. So, yeah.
I just had a question.
Sorry, Mom, my mother wants to say something. She's most eager.
Pranam.
Namaste,
Santoshji, I just want to tell you, I was hearing part of the Vyakhya hanging around, and I loved it. आपने बहुत सुंदर व्याख्या करी है.
Thank you so much, Maji. Thank you so much.
Hi to everyone, and bye.
Yeah, I think Preeti, you had something to say? Or she's left probably, yeah. Okay, so anything else from anyone? Any questions, any remarks?
It's okay.
All right, so then I think,
Santosh,
Yeah.
sorry. Whenever you say Goswamiji, you're referring to Tulsidas only.
Tulsidas ji, yeah.
And why is, what does Goswami have a meaning, or does it mean teacher or something?
No, Goswami is a very sect-based word, so it's a very Vaishnava term. It basically means a Vaishnava Acharya. And just to make sure that we have a light formality in the group, I'm not appending anyone with G. We just call each other by our names. G, we just keep to Ram, Sita, Hanuman, and Goswami ji. So.
Mhm.
So Goswami, that's another thing, of language, because Hindi is not my mother tongue. In Marathi, we do a lot of tu tadak even for saints, because that depicts a certain kind of affinity, love, and affection. But in Hindi, that's not quite polite. So the two languages have a very different way of articulation. So,
Mhm.
so we call Jnaneshwar Tukaram as tu tadak, but not Jnaneshwar ji and Tukaram ji. I mean, calling Jnaneshwar ji would sound like you're distancing himself away. But I think that's the flair of every language. So yeah. So
And
yeah,
when was it?
sorry.
When was it written?
So it concluded around
Come back.
1596 to be precise. And it is one of those rare texts in which Tulsidas ji mentions the date in which it was written. So in Chaupai itself, he writes, in Ayodhya, I completed writing this on Chaitra Mas, on Ram Navami. He writes that. So it's around 1590s, we can say.
Mhm.
And it was written over Ayodhya, Varanasi, and a few other places. And someone, I think Deepak, was it you who was asking about Shiva and Vishnu? That regarding that, I just had one remark. Bandam Guru Pada Kanja Krupa Sindhu Nara Rupa Hari. So there's a manuscript in Ayodhya which is said to be in the hand of Tulsidas ji. And over there, this is Krupa Sindhu Nara Rupa Hara. And someone has changed that to Hari. Because when the sects and the sampradayas started becoming exclusivist, you could not have Hara when it is a story of Ram. It had to be Hari. But in the manuscript which is available in Ayodhya, you can clearly see that Hara has changed to Hari. But it doesn't really matter whether it is Hari or Hara, because for Tulsidas ji, it's the same. Hari Hare Ekata is one of the leitmotifs of the Manas. We will come to that. I mean, as I had mentioned in my chat message, there is a whole Shiva Parvati marriage that happens in the Ramayana.
Mhm.
So, is this something that came down orally, but also was a manuscript, or how did it come down to us now? Like it was written obviously by him, but that written part, that original one, we don't have. But was it kind of repeatedly written, or was it more oral?
It was both. So this is happening, as I said, in 1590s. So the Katha was told, it was spoken, but the manuscripts were also copied. So there are many, many manuscripts of the Ramayana. There are illustrated manuscripts. There's a very famous one in Kashi, the Kanchan Chitra Ramayana. So the manuscripts were copied, but even today, the essence is the oral tradition. So you will never get the essence by reading the translation. It has to be an oral conduct. So I don't know whether you find that, but whenever I listen to Swami Akhandananda Saraswati, unfolding the Ramayana, it brings forth meanings that I can never understand by reading the modern Hindi version. So even today, it is a very, very oral tradition. There is a katha done at Sankat Mochan, many places in Ayodhya also. So to get the Ramayana is an oral tradition, but of course it was written and copied many, many times over.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Santosh, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your background, your study, your gurus, etc.?
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll stop the recording.